To make our animation in Photoshop for the squash and stretch assignment, we're going to do things a little bit differently because we have to establish the width of our document. So you'll open up Photoshop, go up to the top and click File, Open, and locate your squash and stretch image on your computer. If you scanned it, it's going to be in the desktop in your folder or in the documents folder in your folder. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use Command A, or I can go up here to the select window and select all. And what you're going to be looking for is the marching ants kind of going around the perimeter of your image. Next, I'm going to go up to Edit and click Copy, or I can use the shortcut Command C. Next, I'm going to go to File, New. When you copy and paste something, it immediately copies it to the clipboard. You'll see here that it just added the shape of what I copied here to the clipboard. And you'll also notice that when it does that, if you come over here to the preset details, you'll see that the pixel width and height are located here. Obviously, we don't want our animation to be a rectangle like this. We only want to see the individual faces in the panel in order to make our GIF. Because of that, I'm going to create a square by changing the height of this new document to match the width of the old one. So the width of my original JPEG back here is 1263 pixels. So I'm going to change this one to 1263 pixels. And basically what that means is I'm making a square. You could leave it at 72 dpi. You could also bump that resolution up to 300 if you wanted because it will match better. Rule of thumb might be if you scanned it at 300, make your document at 300. You can leave everything else the same and click Create. So here's my square. You'll also notice I have my layers window open and I have my toolbar over here on the left. If you don't see either one of these windows, you can go up to Window and turn on the layers and turn on the tools. You can activate or close all the windows in Photoshop right here under the window menu. So I copied that image, so now I'm going to paste it. I can go up to Edit, Paste, or I can say Command V. I have the Move tool selected, and basically that's letting me move my image all around, right? So I'm going to place the normal face right here. I'm going to kind of put it in the middle. Remember, if I want to pull a guideline, I just click over here in the rulers, and I can just make sure I know roughly where that face is going to be located. So I'm going to kind of maybe put it right in here. Okay, so I have layer 1 here, which is going to be normal. So I can click on this and I can double click this and say normal, just normal view. We have a problem though, right? We have this part of the image still here. I'm going to fix that, but before I do it, I'm going to make a copy of this because you can see here that basically the size of my document is framing out my image. So I'm just going to put this here in the middle. I'm going to make a copy of this layer. To do that, I'm going to go up to the little menu window here, click it, and say Duplicate Layer. This one I'm going to call Stretch. Click that there. Then I'm going to make another duplicate of that one and I'm going to say squash. So now I basically have 3 layers: normal, stretch, and squash. The reason I did this is because I'm going to eliminate this in the normal. I wanted to have that image available to me for the other layers. So we're going to go back here to normal. I'm going to make a selection around the one I want to keep, and I'm going to use the lasso tool to do that. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to draw around and making sure I don't cut anything off. like this. And when I come back to the beginning, the marching ants will be there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to select, inverse, which basically means that it will select everything outside of the marching ants. So you'll see that it's now selected the border here and here. And I'm going to click delete. Now it looks like we haven't done anything yet, right? But that's because these other layers are showing. If I turn these off, you'll see that they are gone. So now to get rid of the marching ants, I'm going to use Command D or Control D on a PC. And I'm going to leave my face just right there. Next, I'm going to turn on my stretch. And that's up there. So I'm going to take the move tool again. This one is on top, so we're not going to see this bottom one unless I move it over like that. But I'm also going to turn on the transparency for this layer. So here you see that the layer is highlighted, and over here in opacity, I'm going to bring the opacity down a little bit so that I can see where I placed my normal layer. So I'm just going to kind of put this one over the old one, just like that, I think. And I'm going to turn off the normal layer just for now. And now I'm going to bump the transparency back up like this. Okay, now you can see I have this line here. I've got the normal face here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take that lasso tool and I'm going to circle around everything I want to keep. Remember, this is the stretch face, so everything is going to be stretched, and here I go. And then when I come back to the beginning, the loop will close. I have the marching ants, and now I'm going to go up to select, inverse, and I'm going to click delete. And the squash face goes away. So I'm going to do Command D to get rid of the marching ants. And now I'm going to turn off the stretch again, and now you can see all these eyeballs are off, so there's nothing here. I'm only seeing the background. Here's normal. If I turn that off, then I get stretch. And next, I'm going to do squash, but I'm going to turn on normal again so that I can kind of orient it. So I'm going to turn on squash, and you can see that squash is up here. So I'm going to move this down over. Oopsie, sorry, squash is under here. There he is. Now for this one, I probably don't even have to do anything, but I do want to make sure that it is over the normal one. So again, I'm going to move this opacity down so that I can kind of see behind it. And I think this looks pretty good. I'm using the noses to kind of line it up. Okay, so now I'm going to bring the opacity back up. You can sort of see where the bottom of the paper is, and you can see that the normal is there. But it's not going to matter because when I actually make this GIF, I'm going to turn off normal. Okay, so now I've got everything set up. I have normal, stretch, and squash. So I'm going to turn all of those off for now. And now I'm going to open up my timeline window. So I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to click Timeline. And I'm going to select Create Frame Animation. This will automatically take you to the frame animations. If it doesn't, you can always click over here and it will also take you to the frame animation. So right now, obviously I don't have anything, so I'm going to click on Normal and turn that on. Then I'm going to duplicate the layer. I'm going to turn on stretch and I'm going to turn off normal. And then I'm going to duplicate stretch and I'm going to turn on squash and turn off stretch. And now I can play this and see what it looks like. Okay, now this is no seconds, right? And I actually think this kind of works well. I could slow this down a little bit. If you want to select all of them together, you can select the first one, hold the shift key and select the last one, and that selects everything. And then you can make it 0.1 and see if that makes a difference. Let's see. I'm going to stop it. Now I'm going to export my GIF. I'm going to go up to File. I'm going to click Export, and I'm going to go down to Save for Web. And when I do that, it will automatically give me the GIF extension. You can see here, GIF. And all you have to do is click Save. Never delete .gif or any .doc or .jpeg. If you're going to change the name, change it here where it's highlighted. And I'm going to call this Squash and Stretch. I'm also going to make sure I know where I'm saving it to, and I'm going to save it to the desktop. I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to upload my GIF to the assignment, and you should see it running right away. And that's how you can take your drawings and create GIFs from it. You have to make each drawing on a separate layer.